All right, well, today we're going to talk about simplicity. This can be a tough thing to think about, but I think, Bud, you hit it. You hit it nail on the head here. So how many of you have ever heard of the KISS method? Keep it simple, stupid. This is what we're going to be looking at in this section, is keeping it simple. The spiritual practice of simplicity, first and foremost, is a journey. It is not a destination. It is a journey. We're going to discuss why simplicity is an important spiritual practice, and then we're going to work on taking small steps towards simplification. Our goal is to cultivate more focus, clarity, and peace in your life. According to Richard Foster in Celebration of Discipline, he says, simplicity is freedom. Duplicity is bondage. Simplicity brings joy and balance. Duplicity brings anxiety and fear. The preacher of Ecclesiastes observes that God made man simple. Man's complex problems are of his own devising. That's Ecclesiastes 7:30. Foster continues that the Christian discipline of simplicity is an inward reality that results in an outward lifestyle. Bobby, we're going to ask some more questions. But what kind of lifestyle are we talking about here? When you think of simplicity, what kind of answers come to your mind? And we're going to put these on the board.
Jesus' statement in Matthew 11:28, my burden's light and my yoke is easy. So if it's hard, we might be yoked up with the wrong stuff.
There we go. Okay. Lisa?
Minimalism.
Minimalism.
She's the queen of minimalism.
Who else? When you think of simplicity, what images or words come to mind?
Being frugal.
Being frugal. Yes. Courtney.
I just have that Shaker hymn floating in my head. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be true. Till we come round. What is till
Rounder.
round right to where we ought to be.
To where we ought to be. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
What is it?
Curtis.
Simple Gifts is the name of the tune. Anyway. It's called, it's a Shaker hymn.
Quit building barns.
Oh,
All right.
that's good. Yep, quit building barns.
And I just saw somewhere where they were building more storage units, and I was like, wow, it's amazing.
It is a huge industry in the United States of America. Storage facilities. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Greg.
Not to be picking on a certain type of group, but simplicity, just because we have so many in our area, is Amish and Mennonite. And compared to what we live most of the time now,
Sure.
that's a specific group, but they definitely live a simple life in our eyes, but they work hard. I mean, I wouldn't want to milk cows now by hand. I mean,
No, but I mean, that's one reason why they do what they do. Is
Yep,
For this. So.
for the simple life, yeah.
I remember hearing a story where a guy was laying on the dock and this wealthy man came up and asked him what he was doing. And he said, I'm just resting, relaxing. He said, what do you do for a living? He said, I fish. He said, why aren't you fishing? He said, I got all I need. And he said, if you catch more, you could buy a bigger boat. And he said, what would I do then? He said, you buy some more boats, hire some people to do it. He said, what then? He said, you can retire. He said, what would I do? And he said, you would rest and relax. He said, I'm already doing that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
When I think of simple, I think my mind goes toward my calendar, whatever electronic calendar. Just, I would like it to shrink by a couple percentage points.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
When I think of simplicity, I know this is silly, but there's sometimes you just get overwhelmed with life and you're just like, man, there's some days I just want to be a beach bum.
Yeah.
And Beach Bum.
Yeah. I like that.
Bobby Sperling and Jimmy Buffett.
There you go.
Anyone else? All right, thank you. So, these are some really awesome answers. These are a lot of things that I think about myself when I think of simplicity. Simplicity, in essence, is the antithesis of our culture here in America and what it tells us that we should be. Our culture tells us to buy bigger, buy better, and replace it more often. To be successful, you should have the biggest house on the block, the newest cars, the latest technology. Spend, spend, spend. However, Paul combats this ideology in Philippians 4:12 through 13, where he says, I know how to live on almost nothing or with everything. I have learned the secret of living in every situation, whether it is with a full stomach or empty, with plenty or little, for I can do everything through Christ who gives me strength. Simplicity is the idea of living with what we need, depending on God to provide for us and not coveting what we don't have, both materialistically and spiritually. The whole practice of simplicity can be summed up in Matthew 6:33. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Adele Alberg Calhoun, in her book Spiritual Disciplines, Handbook Practices That Transform Us, writes that simplicity is to uncomplicate and untangle my life so I can focus on what really matters. Jesus teaches us that freedom is not found in having and doing, but in keeping God and his will first in our heart. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust consume, and where thieves break in and steal, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust consumes, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, your heart will be also. Matthew 6:19 through 21. Jesus all but declared war on the materialism of his time. In Luke 16:13, Christ says, no servant can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he'll be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. Mammon is the Aramaic word for wealth. Foster writes, Jesus told the parable of the rich farmer whose life centered in hoarding. We would call him prudent. Jesus called him a fool. That is Luke chapter 12, verses 16 through 21. He states that if we really want the kingdom of God, we must, like a merchant in search of fine pearls, be willing to sell everything we have to get it. That comes from Matthew chapter 13, verses 45 and 46. Simplicity is the only thing that sufficiently reorients our lives so that possessions can be genuinely enjoyed without destroying us. Without simplicity, we will either capitulate to the mammon spirit of the present evil age, or we will fall into an unchristian, legalistic asceticism. Both lead to idolatry. Both are spiritually lethal, according to Foster. Simplicity is more than just letting go of things and responsibilities. It is about prioritizing your life and keeping your focus on God. So priorities, goals, keeping everything simple and everything that we do in perspective of living a spiritually simplistic life. This week we have looked at workshops on human flourishing, life-giving practices, prayer and meditation, silence and solitude, Sabbath and fasting, and hospitality and evangelism. Each one of these spiritual practices can and does flow from a place of simplicity. When we keep our focus on God and prioritize what He wants for our lives, we flourish where God has placed us. We will continue to seek God through practices of prayer, meditation, silence, solitude, Sabbath, and fasting. And we share this lifestyle with others through our hospitality and evangelism. So maybe at this point you might be a little intrigued about simplicity, but maybe the idea of letting go is a little disconcerting, kind of like our opening exercise. Or perhaps you're wondering, well, that sounds really nice, but what are the benefits? I'm really glad you asked. Here's 6 reasons from happiness.com, an article entitled Living a Simple Life, 6 Science-Backed Benefits by Calvin Holbrook that share the benefits of simplifying your life. 1 is to learn about yourself, simplify your life. To learn about yourself, simplify your life. According to Holbrook, when you're not distracting yourself with social media, binging on Netflix series, shopping for another gadget, or filling your diary with must-do events, you're giving yourself the time and the mental space to be grateful for what you already have. Plus providing the opportunity to reflect and learn more about yourself. In fact, living simply can help us find meaning and grow spiritually, as it shifts the focus away from the material possessions and helps us look inwardly. It helps to create more silence, or even that inner solitude that we've talked about, which are prime factors for spiritual reflection. Second, simpler lifestyles can improve our relationships. They can improve our relationships. When we spend less time on social media or working to gain material possessions, our focus instead turns to building relationships with others. Simplifying helps us to have that time to spend with others and to be able to disciple them. Third, simple living can boost your bank balance. If we're spending less, we're hopefully saving more. Or perhaps we have more to share with others. Calvin Holbrook writes, simplifying your life by reducing consumption means you will spend and owe less, and the benefits of financial independence can include less stress and worry, and consequently better sleep. I don't know about you, but I know a lot of people who are worried about their financial situations, and simple living could help people in this area. Living a simple life, number 4, is good for your health. Good for your health. According to the article on happiness.com, a 2014 study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found a link between materialism, meaning valuing possessions and money, and poor physical health. The team from Knox College in Illinois found an even stronger link between materialism and engagement in risky behaviors that could damage physical health, including drinking alcohol, smoking, and drug use. So it makes sense that the reverse, having a non-materialistic attitude, could be positive for your health. Simple living helps us focus on what's in front of us. And for many of us, that means spending more time out in nature, which is incredibly good for our health. Number 5, simplistic living means an increased focus. Reducing possessions and commitments correlates to a reduction in distractions and therefore less physical and mental clutter. If you've got less to take care of. It means it's not taking up space in your brain. As you simplify your life and you remove these distractions, you create space to breathe and focus more carefully on what remains. Simplifying your life by focusing on less materialistic things and looking at one job at a time rather than multitasking. How many of us like to do that? Okay. It can also help us boost our concentration. Multitasking used to be championed as effective, but psychology today reports that in reality, it can decrease your productivity by up to 40%. That kind of hurt for most of us, didn't it? Many of us are constantly switched on to multiple technologies. On average, we check our mobile phones, anybody want to guess? Every 12 minutes. every 12 minutes. Which causes further distractions, more interruptions, which also affects our ability to concentrate. Choose to simplify life by limiting these interruptions, remove or reduce your social media usage, and switch off any annoying pop-up notifications. And sixth, living a simple life helps the environment. Holbrook states, living a simple life means becoming more mindful of what you consume and thinking more about a product's journey and the environmental impact it has, therefore making more considerate purchases. When we're mindful of where our products are coming from, we make better informed decisions on what products we actually want to spend our money on and what impact the purchase has on the planet and humanity. So, how do we implement simplicity in our lives? Lisa, minimalism is a great place to start. Materialistically, minimalism is a good place to begin. If you're unaware how to start, there's a great film that highly impacted my life. It's called Minimalism, a Documentary. Minimalism, a Documentary. And this is available through most streaming platforms. Before I talk about the co-founders, I want to tell you when this video came out in 2015, normally when I watch a movie, I might watch it once if I really like it, twice. The first weekend that this video came out, I watched it 5 times. 5 times. Because it spoke straight to my soul.
And she called me and told me to.
I did. I was like, man, you've got to watch this. This is amazing.
Yeah, I gave all my social media.
The co-founders, Ryan Nicodemus and Joshua Fields Milburn, they also run a website and they host a podcast on minimalism. Their platform is called theminimalist.com. And they help walk you through the idea and concepts of minimalism. They'll offer you approaches from a slow, step-by-step process to the more radical house packing party. Has anybody ever heard of the house packing party before? The house packing party. The house packing party is where you pack up literally into boxes your entire household. And over the next 30 days, the only things you pull out of the boxes are things that you're needing at that moment that you're going to use. At the end of 30 days, you either sell or donate the rest of the stuff. Yeah, I know, it's pretty radical, but quite amazing. Socially, we can limit our use of technology and social media. As more and more awareness has been built about the time that we spend on social media and the negative impact it can have on our lives, many makers have built-in timers now. There are applications on your phone like mine, which is a Samsung platform, and it has something called Digital Wellbeing. This app allows me to set up a bedtime mode, and when my bedtime mode is activated, my screen actually goes grayscale, which turns off and disengages my brain from all the bright colors and the activity that's happening on my phone, forcing me to put it down and get ready for bed. And I also found out recently that if you sit in grayscale for too long, it will pop up a notification that says, you're in bedtime mode, it's time to put it down and go to sleep. Yes, phone. Man. It also has a place where I can put in how much time I want to spend on my phone, on my social media platforms. I can put a timer in there. And when I've spent all that time that I have limited myself to, it pops up a notification that says your time is up. Close the notifications. Additionally, it has focus mode options. So like if I'm really trying to concentrate on writing an article about simplicity, then you can turn on this focus mode project and it only allows certain applications to come through, like my phone, my actual phone part of it, so when my boss calls, I can still answer. But I can keep working and not be distracted by all the pop-ups and other notifications that continually pull my mind somewhere else. As a parent or grandparent, these applications also allow you to turn on parental controls to limit your children to what they can have access to. Cultivate an attitude of gratitude. I love that. Cultivate an attitude of gratitude. Be present in the moment and be content like Paul with much or with little. This takes practice. Living in a culture living in a way that is contrary to what we are taught, can make people think that you might be a little off your rocker. But recognizing that we have today, what we have right now is exactly what we need. Seeing it that is a true gift from God that we get as a temporary use will lead us to open our eyes to a whole new world around us. A world that we have in our possession, whether it's your materials, your time, your energy, that it's given to us to just hold on to for a little while, because that's all we have it for, and then it's going to be taken from us and given to someone else. It makes you live in this world and see this world in a completely new light. A light that should make us stop and say, thank you, Father, for today, for the things that you have given me. Prioritization. Focusing on what truly matters in life and letting go of the distractions. During our time together this week, I hope that you have really had some time to reflect on what is really important in your life. As part of spiritual practices, simplicity is truly important. Setting up goals for ourselves on what really matters in life and focusing our limited resources of time, energy, and pursuing the call that God has on our lives and letting go of the rest is simplicity at its core. It is seeking God's kingdom and his righteousness first, and knowing all the rest of my needs are going to be met. The transformative power of simplicity as a spiritual practice cannot be understated. Simplicity frees up space in our minds and our physical spaces. It allows us the necessary room in our hearts and minds for what God is calling us to do. The path towards simplicity, again, is not a destination. It is a journey. So today, I pray that you decide to take your first step towards a life of simplicity. Our next portion is going to be an activity, and I want you all to open a new page on your journal. I'm going to give you about 5-ish minutes. And on this page on your journal, I want you in your mind to stand in front of an area that you want to declutter in your life. Declutter in your life. It could be a room in your home, could be your closet, your garage, could be your calendar. It could be how much time you spend on social media. But on the piece of paper of your journal, I want you to spend some time, really envision the space in your mind and write out everything that you need to get rid of in this room, in this space, on your calendar. What is it that you need to eliminate to simplify? So I'll give you about 5 minutes to do that.